This episode of the Patriots Postgame Show is presented by DraftKings.
This is the Patriots Postgame Show presented by DraftKings.
First down,
touchdown.
Dive to the end zone. Touchdown, Patriots.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
Handoff to Stevenson. Runs his left big hole across the 40. Cuts left at the 45. And steamrolls the defender there.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Matt Smith.
I'm going to choose to go under on 41.
I take the under also, 30-13, something like that.
Call me now for your free tarot reading.
So I guess kudos to Paul who saw that one coming.
You missed that. It's not kudos.
It went over.
30-13 would be over.
No. But you had this. You know what?
I predicted a score and picked the under.
Right, but I do like that's a fact that you had the score. Welcome to Gillette Stadium, everyone. Good evening for those who are with us. We're here at the Patriots Postgame Show presented by DraftKings. Matt Smith, Mike Dussault, and Paul Perillo, where we just saw the Patriots lose and drop to 1-3 in the season as they lose to the San Francisco 49ers, 30-13. Let's go around the horn, get initial reactions. Deuce, I'll start with you, sir.
Yeah, disappointing start. I mean, I think the turnovers really set the tone, and they just weren't able to crawl out from under that start, even though San Francisco, I felt like, gave them some opportunities in the second half, and I think a lot of better teams would have been able to maybe crawl back into that game. I mean, you're down by 2 scores. You have the ball. You have a chance maybe to close it to a 1-score game early in the fourth quarter, and they just couldn't string enough together today. More injuries continuing to pile up, so just a really tough day. Hard to swallow. I think you were hoping for more than this. You were at least hoping for a little bit more scrappiness in a defeat, but they did fight a little bit in the second half, but overall just that they couldn't overcome that start.
Paul?
Yeah, I have a hard time. I agree with everything Mike just said. I have a hard time, beating them up. And they were
Because they're beat up?
No, beating them up.
No, I know that.
No, not because they're
Okay.
beaten up. The other team was far more beat up than you were. They just don't have the horses to compete.
Right.
And this is a roster problem.
Yep.
And
Roster mismatch.
I'll probably get criticized again this week for, taking some shots. I just feel like when you watch Nick Bosa, coming off the edge on Michael Onwenu and Demontre Jacobs, I'm supposed to get mad at Demontre Jacobs for not doing a better job of holding him up.
Yeah.
I mean, Jacoby Brissett took some sacks today. They probably had some time to throw the ball away. But there were others that he's got like 3 guys in his face, and you're like, how can he not throw the ball to Demario Douglas or Jalen Polk? Because he's wearing 3 guys. I have a hard time. Am I disappointed? Yeah. I mean, I said fast start, right? You want to try to compete in the game, you got to get off to a fast start. Well, they come out, they go 3 yards at a time, this is typically the case. They punt, then they go up a 90-yard drive. And they're losing. Both teams have had the ball once, and you're losing already. They weren't able to get off to a fast start, but again, it's a personnel issue to me more than anything else right now. And until they fix some of those obvious deficiencies they have from a personnel standpoint, I find it hard to believe they can compete with teams as talented as San Francisco.
I think you're dead on that one. So I asked you guys as this one was winding down. It was a tough one. A Thursday or so ago in the Meadowlands against the Jets. We'd hope to see more spunk, I think, as you had said, Mike, in this game. Which is there one that feels worse as they've lost these 2 in a row, 3 losses total in a row? I'm asking between the San Francisco game and the New York game, Paul.
I thought they were very similar. I think San Francisco is better than New York.
Correct.
But I thought the Jets played much better than the Niners played today. I thought the Niners
kept you in it.
The Niners played a game today that if you had brought your Cincinnati game, that was a game you could have competed in if you had played really, really well. Now the Patriots didn't. I'm not trying to paint an overly positive picture. The Patriots didn't play well either, but the Niners really gave them a lot of opportunities to sort of find we'll get to the good, the bad, and the injured, but not capitalizing on opportunities early in the game, turning the ball over, committing numerous penalties, and the Patriots still weren't competitive. So I think it was very similar to the Jets game. I think the Niners are better than the Jets, but I thought the Jets played better than the Niners.
I see the nuance you're painting. I would just say personally this one felt worse to me. Just Because I think this felt more like reality setting in, and that was that you had, an extended break to get ready for this game.
I said that to Matt off air.
You still came back, Ramondre Stevenson fumbling out of the gate just like that. I mean, what worse way? I mean, and that's how the team must have felt too. This guy, all week long, we're in front of his locker asking him about it. He's saying, he's accountable. I'm putting it on tape, those kind of things. Just a terrible way to start the game, not only just for the fumble itself, but I think just not what the team needed. And and now you have these injuries piling up. And, I mentioned a few times in the pregame show the 2020 game. Guys, 2020 for me was like, well, this is a rebuild year. This is a restart. The numbers look frighteningly similar. They got doubled up in yardage. I know the 49ers really made mistakes at the end that kind of colored the outcome a little bit, I'd say. But overall, it just felt like we're back 4 years ago now, and we're on another team that has a long way to go, has a lot of injuries, and has a lot of personnel questions that they're going to have to answer in the coming seasons.
Just to accentuate the start, Mike, that you were just alluding to, first 4 possessions for the Patriots were punt, fumble, interception, loss of downs. Yep. That's a tough way. You're not going to win many games. It's hard to stay in the game unless you have San Francisco helping you stay in the game when you start like that.
Yeah, you had to be perfect, and they were far from it. Like I said, if they played a Cincinnati-like game, the way the Niners played today, they would have. I don't know if they would have won the game, but the way that San Francisco played today, if they had played perfect like they did against Cincinnati, I think this game is much more competitive. But you making the mistakes Matt just talked about, a fumble on the second drive, a pick 6 on the third drive, you're not going to stick around with San Francisco playing like that.
Okay, it wasn't a lot of the first, but Matt, let's get to it. The good, the bad, and the injured.
Now it's time for the good.
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
The bad.
Hey, what happened?
And the injured.
You all right, Gay?
Well, was there more good this week than last week? And I think you're going to have to. The special teams unit as a whole at least provided you a little bit of a spark. They made some plays on special teams this week, didn't they?
I think
I'll give it out to you.
I think Joey Sly made some kicks.
Joey Sly made my list.
Yeah, Joey Sly.
63 and 54 yards of
franchise
field goals.
record?
That's a long field goal. So, yeah,
17 yards of field goals.
There you go. It's
made my list. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I'm trying not to be facetious because I do think he deserves credit for, won a kicking competition this summer. I think it was I don't know if it was necessarily neck and neck, but guy came in, won the job, and so far this season he's really delivered on what they've needed him to do. Especially when you had some inconsistency last year going from Nick Folk, who seemed to hit everything inside of 50 yards, and now all of a sudden, you've got a guy who's hitting long kicks. So I think that's encouraging. What does it mean in the grand scheme of things? I'm not sure that much, but you have to feel pretty good about Joey Sly and the start he's had through 4 games.
The punter was decent again today, and I thought they got a little something from Marcus Jones in the return game. So I thought their special teams were decent. It's hard to give him credit on the fumble recovery to start the second half because the kid just dropped it.
Yeah.
So it's not. Good for them that they recovered it. When a scramble drill at the bottom of the pile, that I think it was Ellis that came up with the ball. So good for him on that. But that's a tough one to give your special teams a lot of credit for. So next we move to the bad, Paul.
Oh no, I have Joey Sly.
I'm sorry.
I'm still in the good.
I thought you said
I have
Sly,
3.
Sly was your only guy.
I have 3 goods. No,
Oh.
well, special teams. Yeah. No,
Okay.
I thought the kicker was outstanding,
Yeah.
and I had him on my list. I thought Gonzalez was really good today, and it didn't really matter because they seemed to find guys that were open away from him. But I thought every time they showed an ISO, not the little package they put together, which those don't do anything for me.
And then they
'cause you
mushed
can't-
him after the package.
Because you can't really see what happens on the play. But I thought, this is a good play right there. Even
Good tackle, by the way.
Good tackle. And I thought this is sort of emblematic. Like last week, he missed that tackle, and Alan Lazard went for it. Well, I think he was involved in one. It might not have been the one with Lazard, but he got beat on one of those plays. Garrett Wilson inside the 10, and he got down inside the 5. So that was a good tackle. I think he has competitive coverage. They went bombs away in the second half, and every one of them was wide open, except for the one on Christian Gonzalez.
Correct.
He had excellent coverage. So I thought he was good today, and he got a spot. He's the only guy I thought played. They try to make a big deal of the defense today, 431 yards, and I'm not telling you they laid down because I don't think they laid down last week either. I think they play hard. I just don't think they're that good. And I think the other team did anything it wanted today, offensively, defensively, and whatever. But I thought Gonzalez was good. And the only other thing I had on my list was the 2 red zone stops in the first quarter.
Yeah.
That's to your point about the defense at least competing.
No, I think they play hard. They just don't
No,
play
that's what I
well.
said, yeah.
Like, I think that they on the broadcast they were trying to say like how the defense was keeping them in the. No, they weren't. So like the first drive went 90 yards.
Right.
No, I
like
think-
first time San Francisco got the ball, they started from inside their 10.
I think that'll be one of the themes this week. Will be reality hitting the Patriots defense. Of anyone who tried to say that this unit was still really good. I mean, every single ranking that they're going to have coming out is going to have them at the bottom of the league, and it is what it is. That's what it is. You can talk about injuries. We can talk about personnel departures that were not replaced, but it's not a good defense right now. They don't have the horses up front.
Your goods?
I think that's it for me. I mean, I'm going to shout out Behringer, though. I mean, he continues to put guys inside the 15-yard line. I think it doesn't, again, like when teams are driving 90 yards on you, it doesn't really end up mattering all that much. But
4 for 4, Mike.
But 4 for 4 inside, I guess, maybe like 11. I mean, inside the 15, a nice net average for him. So, I mean, I'm sick of this in the post-game show highlighting the kickers.
Punter.
I mean, that's,
Right.
these are the only guys because they're getting opportunities. But, it is what it is with Behringer. I mean, he's still doing a pretty good job.
Well, I liked Paul bringing up Gonzalez because I think that's legitimate. He's certainly trending in the right direction for a guy as ballyhooed as he is, high pick, going against pretty good offenses and really good receivers the first 4 weeks of the year, and I think he's more than held his own.
I just will say this about Christian Gonzalez. I don't know, what the narratives are out there. We get caught a lot in the wash of like, all right, so this is what? 8 games for the kid. So
Correct.
8 games into his career. I'm excited about him. He's got to continue to progress, but I can't say a lot about the defense right now. He's one piece to build around for sure.
Good point. Okay, why don't you kick things off with bad?
Stevenson. I mean, that's just
He's
I
the
don't
headline.
know how you spend all week answering to it. I can't even imagine what it was like behind the scenes for him, having to, being put up on film, I'm guessing, being called out, those kind of things. But even if he wasn't, like I said earlier, we talked to him in front of his locker about it. He's getting questioned repeatedly. To go out then and what was it, maybe his second or third carry of the game, whoop, it's out.
And he wasn't really even hit.
It's just, you get an arm in there and you just kind of pull it out. It just set the tone for the whole game. I mean, I think the Patriots probably felt the same way I felt, where it's like, man, if you can't even clean up your most glaring mistake from the first 3 games and you're carrying it into the 4th game on your second possession, it's a really bad sign, and it's just deflating to the whole team.
So what do you do in that situation, Mike? Because Mayo has said himself that ball security is job security. He fumbles early on in the game. I think there's some old school people who think he's going to then ride the bench for the rest of the game, and he didn't.
Yeah.
Your thoughts about that?
Well, my thoughts are that they had a ton of football left in that game, and he's one of the only players that you really have felt good about this year, that you feel could be productive. I mean, the passing game did a few more things than they've done the past couple weeks, but overall, I don't think that they fooled themselves into believing that they had enough to win without Ramondre Stevenson. And I don't know. I mean, that's a great debate. You can talk about your coaching philosophy, if you think it will work, if you think sitting him down will work. I mean, personally, if you spent all week focusing on it and talking to him about it and that didn't work, it might be time now to switch it up and try something else. Because look, four straight games with a fumble. I mean, that says it all.
Today's, I understand there's no such thing as a good fumble, but that was a bad fumble today.
It was a bad fumble.
He was not really hit. He just kind of got swatted at and not lost the ball. Like, we talked a lot about how his fumbles have come in scrums. He's got like 5 yards. He's got 3 or 4 guys on him, and they're ripping the ball loose as he's going to the ground. That wasn't the case today. Wasn't as bad as the fumble that the Niners had on the opening kick of the second half when no one hit him. But, yeah, I understand you're questioning, Matt, and it's more than fair. I just don't think that's a way to fix it. Like when you don't have – first of all, you don't really have enough options offensively. He's all you got. And if you're going to put him on ice, I get it at some point. I don't care how talented you are. If you're fumbling once a game, that's not acceptable, and he's fumbling once a game.
And you've got the stats in front of you there, Paul, to see what he finished at. I'll give him the player credit. He rebounded. He ran hard. He had a couple decent runs. There wasn't a lot there. He got popped, and we just saw it in some of the highlights that they ran a second ago. He got hit right on the screws at one point, and he held on to the ball. So kudos to him for not fumbling or not maybe letting that get to him. But it just, the timing couldn't have been worse.
Yeah, you're seeing the difference. Like that opening game when they ran
Here's
the
a
ball.
play on the screen where he just got drilled.
They ran the ball really well in that first game, and they haven't been able to run it at all since. He has 3.3 yards a carry. Like, that's not on him.
And that's if you take the 13-yarder out, it would have been 12 for
Right.
30. I mean, it would have been.
Yeah,
it would
so
have been
he's got
worse.
nothing. Hasty got nothing. Gibson got nothing. They can't run the ball with any degree of consistency. And we saw, and we said it at the time, those first 2 weeks when they had 180 yards rushing, whatever it was so much by Gibson and Stevenson after contact. And it's just not a way to live. You can't consistently break tackles and pick up that kind of yardage. And the last 2 weeks, they haven't been able to do it.
Now, it makes you think teams get a little more experience tackling. They're doing more of it now. They get a couple games under their belt. Those broken tackles aren't happening as much.
And that's
at least
20.
on
And
this
that's
side of the ball.
22 carries too. Stevenson, Hasty, Gibson, 13, 3, and 6. So it's not like they didn't try to run the ball today.
Yeah,
That's 22 carries. You just couldn't get anything going.
Mike, do you want to add anything, or what else would you like to add to your bad list?
No. Geez, I'm a little caught up. Paul, do you have someone queued
All right.
up? at the moment
I
to,
have, my kind of stuff, Mike, that you always tease me about. I just thought there was some curious, coaching decisions early in the game. Matt and I talked a little bit about one of them, off air before we started up. To me, it was a couple of different junctures. The first drive, they, by no means were they, lighting it up. It took them 9 plays to go 29 yards. Right, so it's a
Think
tractor
about
pull,
that. Wow.
right? So they're facing a 3rd and 3 on the Niners side of the field. They're at the 43-yard line or something. You're a run-oriented team. Line up and run it,
Right.
and you get 2 downs to pick up 3 yards.
Yeah.
You throw it on 3rd and 3. It's incomplete. Now it's 4th and 3. Now I don't think you can go for it. Now I think you probably got a punt. They did. I agreed with the decision. A couple of possessions later, it's 13-0, and they're faced with a 4th down, 4th and 1 from
Down 13-0, a reminder, as you said.
Yeah, well within field goal range, and they go for it and get stuffed up the middle. With just, as Greg Olson said, just a really uninspired, we're going to bring the extra tight end here and just do exactly what it looks like we're going to do. We're going to run right at you. And the play had no chance.
Yeah.
So I thought those 2 decisions, Alex Van Pelt, Gerard Mayo, the whole thought process there, I thought was worthy of a second guess.
I guess I would. As much as he took a beating, it was under duress. I just think that the turnovers with Jacoby, for me, that's the red line for him. And it's okay when he's not turning the ball over, but when he's turning the ball over, what is it, 3 times total, I guess, after, a couple of these fumbles. I know he recovered one his own. Then he had.
Yeah, he fumbled a couple of times.
He put the ball on the ground
three
at least 3
times.
times.
I think he only lost one of them, but he threw a pick.
And then the interception.
And to your point, I thought the pick, he held the ball a little long, and I thought it looked like Polk was coming free over the middle.
As you're looking at it here on your screen, you can see Polk coming
Polk
free.
right there.
Yeah.
And I understand Fred Warner's a great player.
It's a hell of a play by Warner.
But that play is not getting completed, if it's, whoever playing linebacker. It might not be a pick 6 with anybody else, but that play is going to get broken up. There's a guy in between you and where you want to throw the ball.
Right.
And you didn't get it over him. So I agree with Mike. I think you're starting to see the effect. This is, the people that don't want to play Drake May, this is why they don't want to play Drake May. And I understand it. Because I don't care how experienced you are. I don't care how talented you are. When you get hit time and time again, it's going to affect, A, your decisions, and B, your performance. And we saw that today. He's been, pretty good protecting the football. And Mike is right. What did you say? Like the red line there?
Yeah.
There's like a thin line. Like, he's protecting the ball. He's giving us a chance to win. He's doing it. Well, now, today, he didn't. And I don't think that's a coincidence that after 4 games of getting the stuffing knocked out of him, you're starting to see some turnover-worthy plays, to use
there you go.
the jargon from PFF.
Poor decision-making. And I would agree with you. I had Brissett. I had Stevenson, obviously. I had decision-making, Paul, as you and I talked about it. I've seen a little bit of online noise. Does Tyquan Thornton deserve to be grouped in that, or is it like just 2 plays?
Yeah, I mean,
what's the big
Tyquan
deal?
Thornton's impact in that game? He had a block in the back
That marginal,
negated a trick play, first down. Do people think that was the swing play of the game?
No.
I just think that's what's hard with the good, the bad, and the injured. When you're just not playing that well, it's not functional right now. So you can go around and point little individual fingers at everybody when really, to me, what I just saw was a team that is a ways off from being able to execute on both sides of the ball at a level needed to compete with teams like this.
Okay, let's look at the injured, and that certainly isn't very good as well on a team that's depth is questionable to begin with, who needs every able body possible to play, and who came into this game with some people out. They lost 3 very big contributors. Center David Andrews going down very early with the shoulder, didn't return. I'd hesitate to call Leverett good, but I didn't see any disasters. I didn't see any snaps rolling back to Brissett or anything like that. So kudos to the kid for kind of hanging in there. That position has obviously been a position of concern, backup center since the beginning of training camp. Yep. So seeing Andrews walk off the field is really not a good sign. Kyle Duggar goes out in the first half and doesn't return. Was carted off, actually. That didn't look good. And while I'm not sure that coverage is Kyle Duggar's strength in his game, and he's got a lot of strength in his game, I think him going out, you saw the Niners attack the middle of the field when he went out. And they had some success with that. Yeah. And last but not least is Caden Wallace, and who came into the game banged up. And when he was being helped off the field by 2 of his teammates, that didn't look good long term at all, did it?
No, ankles for Duggar and Wallace, right? And then the shoulder, like you guys said. The only thing I'd say, I mean, I think the Duggar loss, I think, is big. That's a big loss. He's a good player, but it's Jalen Hawkins back there, not Kyle Duggar for the most part. So I'm not sure that bombs away was correlated with Duggar. I kept saying to you, Mike, like, how are the Niners getting that safety to bite?
Yeah.
And like the first one, it looked like Hawkins jumped, the over route and left Jonathan Jones one-on-one, and Jones did not fare well. Marcus Jones was in better position on the bomb that he allowed, but is trailing and really interfered before Jennings made the catch. Where is the safety? And I think that's Jalen Hawkins.
Yeah. It's
at least on the first one, I should say.
Go look at the film on this.
Yeah, I have to look at the all 22, Matt. I don't know.
But it's no, and I think the big plays were just a big problem, and that for me as like a defensive starting point, you can't give up big plays, and that's another thing. First couple weeks, not really giving up the big plays. Last couple games, they've been a problem, and this one.
Yeah, and just like to illustrate that, Mike, the Niners come out and they do what they normally do. They're running Jordan Mason. They're throwing short to Ayuk. They're throwing short to Debo and Kittle and those guys. Then all of a sudden, they have some success. They're getting, they're lathering you up a little bit. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, now that you guys are playing, you're going to start sitting on some of the short stuff. Here we go.
Yeah.
And they had 2 bombs that they hit. Another one that they tried and missed on because Gonzalez had the good coverage. And kudos, like I said, I mean, I thought today was Gonzalez's best game. I know everybody.
I'd agree with that.
Everybody's been gushing about his performances every week, but I didn't see him really around a guy who caught the ball today at all.
Paul and I disagreed on this one. I wouldn't put him in the good category, but I thought, again, I mentioned on special teams, I thought Marcus Jones gave you a little something. I actually didn't think his coverage on the Jennings play. Paul and I disagree. He thought that was clearly interference.
Oh, it was definitely interference, but it was competitive coverage.
Yeah. To me, what it shows, it's the 5'3", 5'4", 5'5" cornerbacks against a guy like Jennings. I mean, Jones does everything he can to be competitive in that play. He's just out-physicaled in that play.
But you cannot let the guy behind you.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
But I do think he was competitive on the coverage. I didn't disagree with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many physical mismatches.
The punt returns. I thought he had a couple opportunities today, 13 yards. Like I think they needed him to turn in a big play. I thought he had some space today.
Yeah. I think not a lot of silver linings, but I think he's been actually pretty decent. I thought.
I agree.
I agree.
For a month, let's go back to the Mike Dussault quarters theory, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the quarters theory. Not that you're splitting atoms with that, but I think for the 4 games, I think Marcus Jones has been pretty solid.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And we're looking at the play. That's actually the
good
touchdown.
tackle on Debo on one of those third downs.
Yeah. He's scrappy. He gets in there.
This was the Kittle play where there's 3 guys there and Kittle just
and this
goes
one
up
isn't. And I thought Greg Olsen did an outstanding job on the replay of that. This is not Marcus Jones has coverage on Kittle here, and it looks like he gets beat because I was like, geez, they had 3 guys on him, and he was still open, but it wasn't Marcus Jones's fault. I think, based on the way Greg Olson explained it. He's got Kittle, and then Del Pettis, who continues to play more than I would like. Looks like he bites on. He let Debo go over the middle when he wasn't supposed to, and then I think Marcus Jones. Now, Bill Belichick would probably tell you Marcus Jones was guilty of not doing his job there. Just do your job.
Yeah.
But he looks and sees an uncovered guy, and he took one false step, and that allowed Kittle to get open here. This is a bad throw. Otherwise, this would have been an easy touchdown.
Correct.
It's an unbelievable catch by Kittle.
And I would think that
three guys hanging on him.
Defensive coaches would look at this tape if you go to the all.
See how open he is right there? The throw is just late and to the inside.
But this is the definition of high pointing a ball, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, he goes up and gets the ball.
And strong.
Yep.
Strong hands.
Holds onto it through. Keeps. I mean, it's just so hard. I mean, you're like, there goes Debo. Oh, here comes Kittle. Like, their heads were spinning all day today, as was pretty evident.
And again, this post game show could be 6 hours long.
Oh God!
Excuse me.
And we're not going to get away from the very easy, simple point. They're just not really built right now to be competitive against teams like San Francisco. The roster disparity is striking.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to keep bringing up 2020, but that's, kind of just how it felt. We were like, who we got out here coming in? Like, Shalik Calhoun? Who's that? Like, John Simon on the edge? Like, that's how it's starting to feel, where it's like, Del Pettis is playing? Like, who's out there?
Shalik Calhoun reference.
I mean, that's, I was looking back at that game, and that's, it's the guys departing in the offseason, it's Judon getting traded, and then it's a bunch of injuries, and all of a sudden, here you are kind of left with a bunch of guys. You're trying to fill a bunch of different gaps, and they're struggling to really dictate anything on defense right now. I mean, they got, the one turnover from Jabril Peppers that was, a nice catch by him, but there aren't a lot of those plays coming down. I mean, I don't know what the turnovers right now are for the season, but as for how the offense is playing, the defenses cannot do enough to offset what's going on.
Okay, so where do you go from here for the coaching staff?
I don't know, man. I mean, you got to just go home, find out who's healthy, next man up, yada, 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 have a week of practice. And, I mean, I don't know what the magic pill is. I mean, it's just, it's hard to ask guys to play above their punching weight, above their weight. And that's, what it feels like you're asking right now. You're asking, guys who have been complementary players for most of their careers. Now you're asking them to be full-time starters. And not only that, but to impact the game. And they're not able to do it.
Is it asking Marcus Jones to cover George Kittle, which it's just...
I mean, when Kyle Duggar's out, and now you're kind of picking between Marcus Jones, Isaiah Bolden, who I don't think has played an NFL game before, Jalen Hawkins, who is a journeyman and a nice complementary piece. Del Pettis, who's not it's pick your poison in a bad way. It's like every single one of these is not a favorable matchup for you. There's only just so much you can do with the personnel left. I think they'll get, I guess, a little bit of a break. We'll see how Miami looks, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not penciling in anything with this team the way they're playing.
You can't at this time. But, we talk about spots. You're going to get Miami coming in off of a short week. They're without their quarterback. We know Tua won't play next week. We don't know who will play. Depends on, I guess, what happens tomorrow night.
Right.
But, Paul, this is a pretty easy spot to get discouraged at. 1-4, you don't see a lot of hope.
Oh,
this
yeah,
is
and I don't know if it's a good spot yet.
Bay.
I'll let I like to see what happens with Miami tomorrow night. But if Miami were to win that game tomorrow night and look decent doing it, I don't think it's a good spot for the Patriots.
No, when I say spot, it's not a good spot being 1-4 and having kind of had their lunch handed to them the last 2 weeks. Like, this is a time where how do you keep the locker room together and not be discouraged?
It's already piling on losses.
Yeah, I mean, you just
1-3. I'm sorry.
You got to be a professional. You just got to play.
Right.
Like, it's still September. Like, you got to play. You got to find. The first thing is you got to figure out a way to at least make the offensive line competitive. In the last 2 weeks, they haven't been competitive. That's where it's got to start. And if you can do that, then maybe you can put together some sort of a semblance of a passing game. Because right now, you can't win with 100 yards passing every game. And I know they ended up with more than that today because Antonio Gibson ripped off a 40-yard,
168,
50-yard play at the end of the game. They're 2 possessions into the fourth quarter before you're getting over 100 yards passing. Like, you can't win NFL games doing that. And the reason you can't do more than that is obvious. It's up front. And if they can't become more competitive up front, it's not going to change.
And now you're looking at Trey Jacobs probably, because Caden Wallace doesn't look like he's playing anytime soon. And maybe Nick Leverett are now starters.
And Miami's going to look at that next week, and they're going to say, well, we have Jalen Phillips. And, you know, we have an opportunity to put that kind of pressure on the passer, and maybe we can dial up some things with our linebackers and get aggressive and dare them to beat us over the top. We stop the run and get after them on third down. Who's to say we can't win a 10-7 game? That's the way Miami's got to look at it, right?
Is there a chance the Patriots get their second choice at left tackle back next week in Lowe? I'm not trying to tell you that he's a difference maker.
I mean, the fact that he was declared out on Friday today, to me, was not.
Yeah.
I mean, this week was not a good sign.
Doesn't seem like he's close, but I mean, if I'm Miami too, I'm looking at a defense that produced 1 sack tonight and saying, you know, whether it's Tim Boyle or Skylar Thompson or whoever,
just don't turn it over.
You're probably going to have time in the pocket. It's not, you know, you're not going to be under a lot of duress. So just take your time, get the ball to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and let them go to work. You know, I mean, it's the way the Patriots have played. I can see any team being able to see things that they want to target, because every team that they're going to play has weapons that can exploit their weaknesses.
Well, we want to hear from you. A lot to discuss. First of all, on our TPX hotline at 855-PATS-500, and our email address is podcast@patriots.com. We'll hear from you after we come back from the break. This is the Patriots Postgame Show, sponsored by DraftKings. Stay tuned, because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gotta watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns, to turnovers, and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV, and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
Anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex Disc contours to it, so the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. Better with Pepsi.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns, to turnovers, and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV, and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
oh no!
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns, to turnovers, and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV, and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
oh no!
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns, to turnovers, and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
Oh no.
replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
Join the conversation by calling into the TPX hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at podcast@patriots.com. Now, live from our studios, here is Matt Smith.
And welcome back to the Patriots Postgame Show. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the New England Patriots. Final score from Santa Clara. The Patriots lose to the San Francisco 49ers by a score of 30-13. Let's get a couple emails out of the way here. Hold on just a second. I had one all queued up here. Hey, everyone. I know it's going to take some time. The team doesn't have talent on offense or defense, so we need to be patient. There's your word, patient, Mike, and give it time to improve. It'll probably take a few drafts to fix things. Let's stay patient, Patriots Nation. That's Dean from Liverpool. That's not popular, but I think his sentiment is right on the money.
Well, maybe kind of push back a little bit. I mean, it's frustrating because you want to be patient, but you want to be patient till the middle of the season, and you want to see some real elements to build around. You want to see guys getting better, signs of improvement, signs of people buying into this new system that they're incorporating, and it's just frustrating because right now it just feels like you're really stuck in neutral, and it's like for all the excitement you feel about being patient to see Drake May eventually, it's like, well, are we going to have anything even to put around Drake May at this point? Like those are the kind of questions you're asking yourself. But there are guys to highlight. Christian Gonzalez, there are little pieces here and there, but it's hard in a football team to highlight, a handful of guys when the team as a whole right now is, just basically kind of getting punched in the mouth every game the last couple weeks.
And it's hard to say, just have to be patient when I understand it's like year one of Gerard Mayo, but it's not really year one of this. And I want to see progress. I want to see, the sort of the operation look better week to week. Not necessarily you could have told me they lost 30-13 today, but you know what? They can't play much better than they played. And I think we all would agree that that's not the case.
You didn't see any progress today, did you?
No, I saw it going backwards.
Right.
Yeah, and one of the things that was a real problem Thursday night was the inability to contain Aaron Rodgers in the pocket. And we just, Mike, you and I, getting ready to do our TV show tomorrow. When we tape Patriots Unfiltered.
Argue about something?
No, we'll argue about something, and I'll agree with you because you're wicked handsome.
I mean,
I tend to agree
it's
with
hard
you.
to argue when the obvious is right in front of your face.
Right.
But anyway.
So one of the things that we're talking about, Matt, is, last week they had a really hard time keeping Aaron Rodgers in the pocket, and then Brock Purdy is running all over the place today again. Is the message not getting through? Is it just your players aren't good? Is it just because the players aren't good enough? Or it would seem to me if you determined to keep a quarterback in the pocket, you could do that. You don't need talent to do that.
Well, I think the coach would say,
discipline.
If I were guessing, it's a lack of talent and certainly a lack of discipline.
Well, and I'm a little upset about that. At some point, can I have the coach say, we have to do a better job of scheming it up? Yeah. And it is about the X's and O's sometimes.
Dean in Scottsdale titles this with a dumpster diving for positives. Leave it to the Patriots' inept offense to make the 49ers defense look like its old self. I agree with Paul that other than kicking, there was not one good phase of the game for the Patriots. However, I think that any semblance of decent offense would make this team very competitive overall with most teams. I think that's sugarcoating things.
Yes, every team, if they had a semblance of a good offense, would be competitive because then that means both teams would have a semblance of a good offense.
Right. This is Gretchen emailing at podcast@patriots.com. Is it a sad commentary about the state of the Patriots that I was excited about Polk's effort and almost catch on the sideline?
That is a pathetic.
It is kind of a sad commentary.
Yes.
It was closer than I thought it would have been, but
absolutely. I mean, he makes a great, but let's just say he made the catch. He was inbounds. Let's say his shoulder came down inbounds. Yeah. That's what you're hanging your hat on? A Hail Mary on 4th down with two guys hanging on your receiver?
Right. This is Simon, who looks like he's stating the obvious. After 4 games, it's clear that the offense lacks any of the key pieces required to function at the level Mike describes as above the line. Our star running back fumbles every game. Yeah. Our O-line is going to get Jacoby killed. And on the few times he isn't running for his life, he lacks the talent to make anything happen with this group of average at best receivers. Do you guys really think putting Drake May in the middle of this is the answer?
Not at the moment.
What's the question?
I think his question there is on May.
No. But like, is he the answer? I don't. What is the question? Like, is the question? Do you think that putting Drake May will make him a playoff team, or he's going to dramatically improve? No, I don't. I don't think that will happen. But is that something that could help Drake May start to learn and start to develop and maybe get a little excitement into the offense? I think it could.
Yeah.
I think all those things could happen.
I just would have liked to see, when the door opened up in the third quarter, and I forget exactly what the score was. I think they were down by exactly 2 scores. And, I just remember thinking, like, a lot of teams, a lot of, scrappy Patriots teams, they would use this opportunity. It would have been one of those games, like, they're getting killed. They should have left at halftime. But then somehow they find a way to get back in. And it was just, that one moment there, it was like they have another opportunity. As bad as they've played, they've had another opportunity, and they still couldn't take advantage of it. And that, it was frustration on top of frustration, because I think you kind of got over the first part. You're like, well, this is just how it's going to go again. And then, you allow yourself to be like, well, it's, a field goal, and then they get the fumble, and they score, and it's 20-10, and, 27-10, So it was, they weren't able to execute within the flow of the game and change the.
It's a great point. Like the old-time Patriots, that play to start the second half would have, at the very minimum, been the springboard to going down to the wire.
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe they wouldn't have won the game, but that would have said, well, you can't let Bela Lugosi get out of the coffin, that many times. Like, we're gonna do it. Yeah. We're gonna get back in this game, because that's what the Patriots would do.
And I mean, they probably literally did luck into. We talk all about the ending strong in the second quarter. They've had some real struggles this year with ending the first half and then coming into the third quarter.
Dropped the ball.
And then, San Francisco can't move the ball off the goal line there at the end of the first half. And, they get kind of an opportune and a mile-long field goal they're able to get. And then as you saw, San Francisco's guy run it. So, it's like they didn't even really do anything, but you look at it.
117 yards of field goals, and they still only scored 13 points.
Right. One more email before we go to the calls. VZE writes, this has kind of been in my mind for the last couple of weeks, the first 7 picks of the Patriots 2025 draft should be left tackle, left guard, center, left tackle, right tackle. I want their biggest free agent signing to also be a left tackle, but I wonder why would a very good left tackle want to come to a team that is at least 3, maybe more, years away from competing for a wild card.
You better put an edge player in there at some point, because I'm sorry, this pass rush is just, there's no impact. I mean, they can briefly keep Brock Purdy in the pocket, but they're not getting to him. They're not causing any kind of disruption or anything like that. It's and sometimes that's by design, but it doesn't feel like guys are winning one-on-one.
I'm just going to continue to say, if Drake May can play, this does not have to be a long rebuild. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. The quarterback makes that big of a difference. Right now, everything is wrong on offense. But if the quarterback is really good, some of those things that are wrong on offense won't look as bad if the quarterback is really good. Now, I'm not telling you Drake May is that good, and I'm certainly not telling you he's ready to be that good, because he's not ready to be that good. That I know. No one just steps on the field and does it immediately without any help. But if he's good, you don't have to wait 3 or 4 years to be a wild card contender. No way.
It's a good message of hope, Paul.
Let's go to the phone lines. The TPX number is 855-PATS-500. I'm going to go to Chris in Tallahassee first, and I'm going to ask Chris a question. Chris, is everything all right there in the Big Bend area of Florida? I know it's been a tough few days, I would think, for everybody in that area. Hope you're safe, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate you even bringing that up. It actually took a last-minute turn. My prayers are with the people of Perry, right to the east of us. So we actually lucked out here.
That's good to hear.
So how you doing, gentlemen? Paul, you look good in that baby blue. I'm looking sharp.
Thanks, bro.
Brings out your eyes.
Gentlemen, I think
that's what the 70-year-olds say.
Right. So I think we know collectively the identity of this football team. Heading into the season, and now I think it's even more obvious. Depleted offensive line, lack of talent and skill position. So this is where I'm going to go with this, the Drake May conversation. If you my take is that we have the most salary cap in the league, I believe. I could be wrong, at least top 3. In a clear rebuild season. I don't think, the pressure that Jacoby Brissett's getting week in and week out, I don't think it's in our best interest to play him, obviously, immediately. I think we all agree with that. But if you look at other examples of quarterbacks sitting behind other quarterbacks now, Jacoby Brissett is no Aaron Rodgers to a Jordan Love, but he's a good employee, if you will, a veteran of the league, knows his, more off the field, I think, than he is a player, but I think a good guy to sit behind for a little bit. I don't think we need to rush throwing him in. I think it might break him. We saw similar to Mac Jones. I think he was broken by our system. What's your guys' take?
Chris, thanks for the call, and continue our thoughts and prayers for sure to the people in the Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina. It's been a tough few days for them. It's going to be a long cleanup for them as well. I'll let you start, Deuce.
What was the question? Oh, Mac Jones.
Drake May.
Yeah, I haven't really been moved. I mean, I think Paul brings up, the great point of it. You just like to see some more sparks. I think that's the thing, and you can't rebuild this whole team with your cap space next year. I mean, that's just not going to happen. The guys that they've drafted over the last couple of years have to play better, and I mean, I think part of the frustration is that some of these guys that you extended this offseason, they haven't really been able to participate and help. Like Anthony Jennings is out. Andrews, another guy you gave a little bit extra right now.
Barmore.
He looks like he's going to be out. Barmore, you extended. He's out. Duggar just went out, another leader that you're trying to build around that you just made a captain. So it's just kind of coming at all angles right now for this team. They have to find a way to stop the bleeding and just to put forth some performances to build off of. I mean, I watched a terrible, terrible high school football game the other night. They lost 42-0, but it was still coming out of it. It's like, well, they had a couple you had some silver linings, and right now it's hard pulling those out for the Patriots because they're getting whooped.
Sean in East Taunton writes, why didn't they put May in? And we talked a little bit about that on the air. Was there an opportunity to do that? Clearly no chance of winning the game, and they rolled Brissett out there. I'm sorry, but if we're not going to be competitive in games, then why are we not getting our rookie quarterback some experience? 5 minutes left to go in the fourth. Seemed like it might have been a chance to do that. They opted not to, Paul.
Yeah, I would have gone for it. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure. I don't really have a good reason why.
I don't have a good reason.
Yes on the short week and no here in San Francisco.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling it. I didn't think
tonight you're not feeling it.
I didn't think it was going to happen beforehand, but I don't have I like the way Mike just put that. I don't have a good reason as to why not to do it. I don't think. Listen, there's nothing that's. It's not useless. Like, I'm not telling you, those mop-up situations. That there's nothing to be gained. I don't think there's a lot to be gained because I think it's way different. It's almost like preseason at that point. Like, the game's over. Guys just want to get off the field and be healthy and, and get to the locker room. That's not a reason not to do it. I think, like I said, I still think there's some experience to be gained by being out there, commanding the huddle and operating the ship. I don't know. I'm sure that Gerard was asked about it after the game.
It's a popular topic amongst the electronic mailers.
I'm sure that Gerard was asked about it after the game. I'd be curious to see when we hear from him.
The only thing I would point to is just the Jets are the Jets, and that's a team you're always going to be playing there. And it's a minor one, but I'd like that idea of getting him experience in MetLife Stadium in front of a national audience. That that kind of thing, just atmosphere-wise. I know it's not a big reason, but Drake May might not be back in San Francisco for whatever it is, 8 years.
Andrew writes that this is his first time emailing, and I just want to say, how did Mayo not make the decision to put Drake May in after the half? My God, May would make this offense so much better with his pocket movement and ability to run.
Well,
okay.
I think the pocket movement's part of the concern with them.
I was going to say, here's where I'm cutting ties.
Yeah.
Like, if you think it's going to get markedly better with a rookie quarterback out there, I'm not sure that's going to happen.
No.
Okay. Let's go way, way, way across the pond to a different pond. Jake has been waiting patiently on the phone. Jake from Australia, you're next on the Patriots Postgame Show, presented by DraftKings. Hi, Jake.
Good morning, everyone.
Hey, Jake.
Good morning, Jake.
Jake.
Bringing it back to Pete, you earlier in the week when Evan and I think Mike, you were talking about playing the youngsters. If they don't start, so what are we doing for the rest of the season? It sort of looks like we're heading down the what are we doing for the rest of the season path.
Well, I don't know. Is he saying, like, why are they not playing young players?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Is that what you mean, Jake? Like, you want us? You think we just got to play the young guys
get
now?
Get the young guys out. Get them.
Well, they're playing.
Yeah.
I mean, Drake May is the only one that's
He's
not
the only
playing.
one not
and
playing.
Also,
Yeah. I mean, I don't
and
know.
I guess Javon
also
Baker.
too with AVP.
Yeah, Baker and Bell, but I mean, you're getting all the Layden Robinson they can give you. Caden Wallace can't stay out there. I just think,
I mean, I
at
think
this point they got no depth. I mean, everybody's got to play right now.
Right, and I think there's a difference between you got to get your 7th round hybrid tight end sometime. No, Jalen Polk's a 2nd round pick. He should play, and he is playing.
Yeah.
He's playing a lot. And, Layden Robinson and Caden Wallace, 3rd and 4th round picks. Your offensive line's in shambles. You should give those kids an opportunity, and they have. They're getting opportunities. Drake May's not. I think we all know why, and I think we all kind of agree that they're probably wise to be patient. But I think the young guys are playing.
One more Drake email before we maybe get into that topic a little bit more. This is from Bill in California. I got the argument that Jacoby was in to take care of the ball and take the hits, but man, this isn't it.
Yep.
He does nothing to help the team nor keep them treading water. Tell me what Jacoby is doing now that Drake can't start the kid, says Bill. And so
He can get killed.
Right.
That's
Okay.
what can. And I'm not talking about the offensive line. I'm talking about him. He will not be in his. Now listen, if Mike is right, and this is sort of that red line that we're saying, once you drop below that line and it's turnovers, then I'm with you.
Yeah.
Okay, if this is the norm, and you're going to start to see him fumbling the ball 3 times a game and throwing a pick 6. But I can't get myself to say that. The amount of pressure they've been under, Drake May is going to handle that better because he's going to see it coming. I want to play. I want to play him because I want him to get development, but I'm not wanting to play him because I'm under this impression that it's going to be
much better.
No.
Right. So, Paul, I want to we've come to this point in time of the schedule where 4 games played. The Patriots are 1-3. Miami team that's not going to scare a lot of people with Tua coming in here, and people would say maybe this is a winnable game. All of your buddies in the know-it-all tent, Paul, have circled this game as being a possible point to bring Drake May in. I know the staff's got to watch the tape. Do you anticipate anything as far as seeing Drake start against the Miami Dolphins this week?
Not based on Ian Rappaport today, saying that he was a ways away and whatnot. It seems like they're trying to douse those flames a little bit or extinguish them, Mike?
I mean, can I just say something real quick?
Absolutely.
Like David Andrews not being out, no, on Drake May. You're going to put Drake May in there with a backup center. I mean, you're already throwing him to the Wolves. You're going to throw him to the Wolves with an unreliable, I mean, I really like Nick Leverett as a guy. He seems, but he was iffy at best with the snaps during the summer. For me, I would not put Drake May in if David Andrews is not the guy.
That's a really good point, Mike.
It's an excellent point. I don't see it happening yet, and I know a lot of people, for whatever reason, they just let's forget about Tua for a second. Let's pretend that Miami was Miami that you thought going into the season. I don't know why this was this soft landing area that everybody
they've never beaten Tua.
Miami's a good team that obviously is in disarray without its quarterback. They're the only team in the league that scored less than you. To me, you have an opportunity to win the game. Why would you play your rookie quarterback in that situation and give him, a chance to maybe give the other team a couple of free points? I'm not sure it makes a ton of sense.
As I think about this game more and more coming against Miami, not that I've already turned the page here an hour into the show, maybe I have, but it's an interesting game as far as Paul just said. And we'll see how they look tomorrow. Maybe the narrative changes a little bit, but
I doubt it.
They've been in disarray without Tua, so and you haven't beaten them with Tua. Now they come in here. I mean, this was one of the wins you were able to get. Last year you were able to beat Miami with a backup quarterback, right? Or 2 years ago? Sorry, am I conflating my? But
yeah, not last year.
2 years ago, we know Tua, you're able to knock Miami out, but it's a little bit of a referendum. It's a little bit of a referendum on. All right, well, here's a significantly hit down Miami, and you're at home against these guys. Are you going to be competitive against a division team that, again, I'm huge on these AFC East games that you're going to need to win down at some point to make the playoffs. These are the games that define your season. So how do you look against a Miami team with a backup quarterback? It's going to be interesting.
Deshaun from Virginia, you've been waiting patiently on the line. You're next on the Patriots Postgame Show. Hello, Deshaun.
Hello, guys. How you guys doing?
Great. How are you, Deshaun?
Great. I just want to touch on what Paul was talking about, as far as how bad the defense is. I get all that, but at the same time, you look back to even when Brady was playing, Just imagine if the Patriots didn't have Tom Brady. How would the defense look? The defense, like I said, hasn't played the best. I get all that, but it could be a lot of pressure could be taken off if the offense actually did something, because they lead the league in 3 and out. So that's not going to help the defense very much because they can't score. They're not confident enough to score any points. So that's the problem.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the offense is
constantly on the field, and the offense not doing anything.
Yeah, the offense is the far bigger problem. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
Kareem emails in at the podcast at Patriots.com. Do you think that the Crafts are committed to giving Wolf and Mayo a prolonged period to turn this roster around? I'm going to stop right there. Yes, I think they are committed to doing that. I mean, how could you
prolonged?
Well, I mean, I guess the devil's in the details there. But any honest person looking at this roster had to look at this and saying, this is not an overnight thing, Right. And I'm not suggesting they want to win. And Robert Kraft has said that repeatedly. It aches and it hurts when they don't win. This has got to be killing him. But I think he's got to look at this realistically and say, this is not a one-year turnaround for these guys. I think he expects results coming in the roster building phase of things. Like, they got to get this roster. They're, in charge now. They've got to get the roster back.
Yeah, no question about it. And that's the hardest thing is that you want to have hope, right? I mean, that sounds like, something Fred would say. And I keep going back to 1994. I mean, we bring it up with Paul all the time with Drew Bledsoe's first season where I forget exactly what the numbers were. I'm sure Paul can tell us in terms of the record. But, you had hope at the end of that season. You felt like you had something. You were excited to come back. And that's the biggest thing. I want to finish 2024 no matter what it looks like and be excited about a few things. It can't just be, oh, dear God, please, Drake May save us. It can't be that. It needs to be, all right, we found a couple things. Like you have to find a few sparks, and to be fair, I mean, you feel all right. Keon White, Christian Gonzalez, Marcus Jones, a few guys having moments here and there, but as it's gone so far, not enough for me to really feel like there's anything really building tangibly.
Yeah,
early,
and I would just say, I mean, I'm not telling you that Gerard Mayo is going to get a year.
No,
but if it looks like this for 2 full years, I don't think he's going to last that much longer than that.
So the opposite end of the spectrum from Kareem is actually Jeffrey from Canada, who writes, we're still in line for 1-16, and is also thinking that it's a possibility that Mayo and Wolf are one and done once the Crafts see an empty stadium this fall. I would disagree with that.
Yeah.
I don't think they have an eternity, but I think they've got some time.
Yeah. I think for 1 year it would have to be a train wreck off the field.
Yeah.
It's not just 1-16. It's 1-16 with guys openly, bitching about random stuff and
coming
a
late.
complete loss of control. And right now, I think those guys like playing for Gerard Mayo. They've been publicly and privately very supportive of Gerard Mayo. Until that changes, I don't think that first of all, it's kind of silly that he's 4 games into his tenure,
and we're talking about it. Security.
But
it's
I also,
ridiculous.
at the same time, I think it's just as ridiculous to say he's got at least 3 years. I don't think he does.
I didn't
say you did. I'm saying the other side of the
Understood.
The other side of the coin.
Understood.
I think that he's going to have to show some progress, just like anybody else. Yeah. Like Bill Belichick was not going to get more than 2 years if Tom Brady didn't turn it around. That's fact. He was 5-11. Belichick was 5-11 in 2000, and 1-3 in 2001.
And Tom
Brady saved Bill Belichick's career.
Bacon. And doesn't Bill openly say that he was having a conversation with Herm Edwards?
Yeah.
Prior in the Jets game, going, I don't know how this is going to go.
I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was 2 years.
Yep. Zach from Georgia, and hope you are safe in Georgia because we know how that state has been ravaged. Zach, you're next to the Patriots postgame show. Hello, good evening.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, Zach.
So, just from a fan's perspective, right, looking at the game, if we're going to throw someone in there just to get sacked and throw picks, I would rather it be Drake May. Because at least every time before he takes the snap, as a fan, at least I have hope or, something in my mind that it could be different than what Jacoby Brissett is about to do, which is probably do a 2-yard dump down to a running back and get no yards. It's aggravating to watch as a fan. Just like it was for the past 2 years with Mac Jones, it's so frustrating to watch an offense that does absolutely nothing to be excited about. So I get it. Drake May might go in and get ruined, but I would rather watch that happen than watch something that I already know is going to happen.
Yeah, I completely
I get it, Zach. I
yeah,
get it.
I completely understand that. I do.
The best reason to not play Drake May right now was uttered by the one and only Mike Dussault moments ago. If there's a problem at center and David Andrews isn't playing, to me, that's the best reason right now. It's already tenuous if you're going to put him in behind this line. If the leader of the line isn't playing, the guy who's responsible for making the line calls isn't playing, the other person who I think toughed it out today in a tough spot in San Francisco, but I don't know when Leverrett's going to roll the ball back or anything like that. Rookie quarterback with an inexperienced center that's not a prescription for success.
Yeah, I get it with Zach. But you also, at least until he does play, you have the belief that maybe he's the best quarterback ever to play the game. You don't know until he doesn't get in there. So
no, and I just would say, like, again, I understand that line of thought that Zach just explained.
Hey.
But he just kind of like rolls past, like, if he gets ruined, he gets ruined. Like, yeah, I want to see him play too, because I'm a football fan and I would rather see something different. The way he put it, like, I know what's going to happen now. I agree. I do. I know what's going to happen, and more often than not, it's not going to be great. But I don't want to ruin my quarterback either. And if as much as I sort of fight back against that narrative, I don't think Mac Jones got ruined. Mac Jones can't play. There's a difference. Yeah. But the situation that he was in did not help him, did not support him. So I thought the coaching, specifically Belichick's decision to put him back in that to take him out of that Monday night game.
The Chicago game?
Yeah. That contributed to the deterioration of Mac Jones. I don't think Mac Jones was ever going to be great. But that helped that. And I don't want to do anything that helps Drake May not fulfill his potential.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a silly question, but these are questions that we're getting, and there's more than one of these. This is Brendan who writes, do you think the offense is so bad that if Jacoby Brissett was to get injured or benched, that the best thing for the team is to sacrifice Joe Milton rather than Drake May? We read it. You write him, we read him.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably an okay question. I don't know. I just think you'll have to put Drake in there if that's the route they're going to take. But I think the thing with Zach that just resonated with me is, like, this is the 5th year of this. Like, what all these offenses, like, and they had a couple flashes, over the last 5 years, but for the most part, it feels like you've been going into these games with a pillow. Like, you're going in again, these other teams are fully armed, and you're going in like, God, I hope our offense can just not fumble the ball and somehow magically, put 250 yards on the board and score every time they're in the red zone, and our defense gives us 2 turnovers and our kicker hits every single field goal. Like, it's been 5 years of hoping that everything goes perfectly right so that you can just offset the talent deficit that has hurt this team since Tom Brady's left.
Sean from San Francisco and the scene of the crime. You are next on the Patriots Postgame Show. Good evening, Sean.
Hey, Matt, Mike, Paul, how you guys doing? I'm actually driving to San Francisco from the game. It's such a beautiful day. I had a great time because I had no expectations.
Cool story, Hansel.
I know this team is not very good, but it was fun, and I kind of have a good feeling about Polk and obviously Gonzo. And next week I have a prediction. I don't make a lot of predictions, but I believe that Drake May's going to start, and they'll beat the Dolphins. It's going to be like, 2 of 5 or 6 wins for the whole season, but I think it'll be a little bit of a confidence for the rookie, and they'll be able to build on that.
Great call, Sean. And Matt Morello, I'll ask you, do we have a call of the show award or anything like that? I know we gave Paul Keys beforehand. That was a good call. That guy went to the game and could pull out some pluses.
He's got the top down.
We have different definitions of good calls.
And he's making predictions about Drake May. I like the call.
I felt like jamming like steaks into my eyeballs watching that game. I'm more with the guy that called the previous call. Like, I'm tired of watching an offense when I know what's going to happen. Because as Mike said, it's been 5 years of knowing we can't punch back.
Yeah.
5 years. I've had enough of that.
5 seasons.
Okay, this is Stevie from Austin who writes, I'm so glad to hear you guys put Brissett on the bad list. I'm curious to see what the people who know ball see on film, because I think there are moments when he has time and guys are open and he's not capitalizing on it. So just to kind of extrapolate a little bit from what Steve is saying, I did think a bit of a regression. Brissett holds on to the ball a long time, Mike, sometimes. And I know he's trying to hold on, and He's probably been coached throughout his career, hang in there, try to make a play, wait till the last possible minute. But I think that's hurting the offense in a lot of instances.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what Paul said. It's just it's breaking down right now for him because the amount of pressure, the amount of hits, he's not seeing it anymore. He's not seeing it in time. I mean, I don't know if he ever really did see it in time, but you see these good offenses when they get into a rhythm and you can feel it. I mean, there's a literal rhythm to it, and it just never feels like that with the Patriots offense. It feels like stuttering and pressure, and things are murky, and he has to dodge one guy and then pull it up and somehow complete it. I mean, whether maybe, I don't know, they probably completed more passes today than he has completed in any game before, and maybe 3 or 4 of them were actually like pure just drop back. I mean, maybe 3.
Almost,
maybe.
how like my whole NFL
Patriot
plays,
play?
almost none of their plays look like that anymore.
No, it's like desperation. Like,
yeah.
ah!
He's running for his life to the top to the right sideline. He throws a pass at the sticks to Antonio Gibson. You're like, we got a first down.
Yeah, I think there was maybe one third down to Hunter Henry that he completed. That
they converted
like
a couple
a
of
little low one where he scoops it off the ground. Like nothing looks good. But I would say the whole holding the ball too long, that's been a knock on him his whole career. And the emailer or the caller, I forget who said it, is right. He holds the ball too long. And the whole thing about not throwing interceptions, that's why. Because he refuses to throw the ball. Yeah. He refuses to put the ball
in harm's way
and try to make a play. It's not harm's way. It's that guy's open, throw it to him.
Right.
And that's NFL open. You got at some point you just got to, and that's why the people that want Drake May, I am kind of curious to see if it looks any better, because no player, no team just never has an opportunity to complete a pass. The offensive line sometimes gives you enough time to complete a pass, and we're not completing any of them.
Yeah.
So I do wonder if it would look a little bit better with Drake May.
Okay, Marine Corps, I think it's time for maybe a little post-game, maybe the head coach. And let's listen in on Gerard Mayo after the game. The press conferences are presented by Microsoft Surface. Here's Gerard Mayo.
Disappointing game. Thought we had a good week of practice. I thought the guys had a lot of energy all week. I'm not going to say anything about the travel. I thought the guys were prepared and ready to go. Obviously, we didn't hit some of the targets that we talked about. Defensively, keeping the quarterback in the pocket continues to be an issue. Offensively, look, the turnovers, we don't have a team that can lose the turnover battle and expect to win a football game. We got to do a better job with the turnovers. We have to do a better job with the negative plays. And, just overall, we just had to be good. I will say special teams-wise, I thought Sly did a good job. I thought the protection was good. The coverage was good. We had a special teams turnover. I thought all that stuff was good. What I told the guys, look, it is a long season. It is a long season, and we're wrapping up the first quarter of the season. I don't think any of us are happy where we are. I think when we go back and watch the film, though, it'll be easy to identify so we can put ourselves in a better position to win football games. We sustained a few injuries to some Warriors out there today, some big injuries. Well, not big, big in as far as who it was. Those guys will come in tomorrow and do their injury check. So I'm not sure how serious or not serious the injuries are, but those guys that couldn't finish the game obviously are a big part of what we do.
Jordan, do you think with all the hits that Jacoby keeps taking in this offense, with the little time he has, you feel maybe there might be something to switch and kind of ignite your offense that way when you go home?
Look, I think there was a combination of, schematically, we got to do a better job of getting the ball out of our hand right now. And then secondly, I would say the offensive line just has to do a better job holding up in protection. And we're trying to find different ways to do it. And some of those, it's easy on some of those sacks. You go back and watch the film, the ball should be out. It'd be easy for you guys and everyone else to say, well, the offensive line should have did that. So I wouldn't rush to that conclusion. But we got to coach better. We got to play better and execute.
So, given the fact that 2 straight games with little offensive production and really it's been that way, would you consider a change of quarterback?
And look, at this point, Jacoby is our starting quarterback. I haven't watched any film or anything like that. He's been a great leader. He just broke the huddle down after I talked to the guys. And, we got to watch the film. We have a long flight to go back and watch the film, and we're always evaluating every single position.
Gerard, you mentioned the edge being a problem on defense. It's something you've said the last couple of weeks. Do you need to change what you're doing coaching-wise to correct that?
Yeah, it's a frustrating thing. Sometimes you tell guys over and over and over, look, the stove's hot, and they still touch the stove. So today it was just if you were to ask me last week, maybe some of that was, as far as the play calling, who were asking the Ozzie out. But today, and the players will tell you, it's on them to go out there and set the edge. This is your job. Do your job, and we'll be okay.
And if they don't do point where they're just not having opportunities?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. You know, we always talk about these guys are competing and will be evaluated every single day, every single week. And look, we want our most dependable players out there, especially when it's a huge target. Look, we have targets on our back. Can't keep the quarterback in the pocket. Can't take control of the football. And so we're going to deal with it until we fix it. And it starts with me.
First possession of the game, you guys have 3rd and 3 on their 41, go incomplete, and then punt it away. Why punt there instead of going for it?
You know, they're different. You know, we talk before we get to 3rd down, and I say we. It's, well, primarily myself, but I tell AVP, look, you know, this is what I'm thinking, whether we're going for it on 4th and 4, 4th and 5, or we're going to kick it on, 3 yards or less. That's kind of how it plays out. Look, there are definitely times where it's easy to, in hindsight, look and say, I wish I would have been more aggressive here or there. This is how we decided to play the game, or play the game today.
Gerard, it looked like in the second quarter on that 4th and 1 where Ramondre got stuffed. Before that, on the 3rd down, it looked like you guys got a bad spot. Did you get any information from Evan or anybody about challenging that spot? It looked like maybe Jalen had the 1st down.
We didn't get any information. I didn't get any information on that one. And I would say one thing. We got guys in the booth. They can see the replays. I'm on the field, and there is a conversation. And put that one on me.
Gerard, you said the team had good energy in practice this week. How did you feel like the energy was today? The effort was today?
I thought the energy was good, and I would also say, going in at halftime, different than when we were at the Jets. I thought that the guys felt like, look, we have a chance. We have a chance. They were excited to go out there and cover a kick, and it happened to be a big play for us, and we scored a touchdown. That's encouraging. With that being said, there are a lot of things that we just have to correct from an X's and O's standpoint, and also from a personnel standpoint.
What can you do to sort of launch the league and make it so this doesn't, get any worse for the players?
Look, the players know it's early in the season, and they understand that. We have veteran players in there. They understand it's a long season, and we've always talked about that North Star is just to get better each and every week. Now, look, there were some good things that happened today. Maybe the score doesn't reflect it, but we gotta fix all the bad football, and that's my job.
You had a conversation with Ramondre after he fumbled. What was that like? And how did you put him back in after a series?
Well, to me, a lot of this stuff goes back to body language and showing, disappointment. I always talk about those type of things, and there's no one out there more disappointed than Ramondre as far as his ball security issues are concerned. And so it was a talk. Look, it is what it is. Change the page and let's move forward.
Any thoughts on putting Drake in the game at the end like he did last week?
No thoughts to that.
Gerard, there was a few big plays let up on the defense. Did you see any commonalities on those?
Just poor execution. They did a good job as well timing up those shots, and we just got to do a better job.
Gerard, do you feel like the pressure that Jacoby's seen over the course of the season has led to any skittishness or uncertainty in the pocket?
Well, I would say, from this game, let me go back and watch the film, and I'll get back to you on that. What I will say about Jacoby is that he's tough both mentally and physically. I mean, this guy's going out there, he's taking some huge shots and continues to get back up. Sometimes you're like, man, is he okay? You're watching him for a while, but he is a tough guy, and I would never use the word skittish with a guy like that.
Given the state of the offense right now, you talked a lot about how Jacoby's only getting 70% of the reps. Is that fair to him in the offense that he's not getting 100%?
I don't think, and we've talked about this, it's not all about the reps that are actually on the field. It's also what we do inside, right? What do we do as far as our walkthroughs and things like that? So I'm not going to go on, not being prepared because he's taking 70% of the snaps. We just got to do better.
Obviously, you haven't seen the film, but what goes through your mind now is what you guys need to do this week to get ready to battle Miami, come out of a victory.
Yeah, it's a huge game for us, a divisional game, and you always want to win those. We want to take the good things that we did today and carry those over and get rid of the bad football. And that's my job. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So there was Gerard Mayo after the Patriots' 30-13 loss to San Francisco. He shut the door very quickly on any thought of playing Drake May in today's game, and he said, no, not at all.
Yeah, a little more. I think he learned a little bit from the last time he kind of, I don't know, we got to go back and look at the film. He was a little bit wishy-washy on it. I think it's a small example of a little bit of growth from Gerard, keeping himself out of trouble, having to answer the same questions over and over again.
Well, two things, though. I think you were talking about him mopping up today, right?
Correct.
And you're talking about who's the starting quarterback going forward.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he was very strong. He said, as of now, Jacoby Brissett's our starting quarterback.
To me, seems that
but that's a different.
Cracked.
This is a different thing, right? Like whether or not he could have played today, and he said he didn't give it any thought.
Didn't give it any thought.
Yeah. Oh, big run by Derrick Henry. Mike,
Oh.
your boy. It's like a 90-yard run.
I thought he wasn't a good fit for this
Red Zone
offense.
Paul added again. Our press conferences are presented by Microsoft
Good
Surface.
shot, Mike.
A big thank you to our partner, Microsoft Surface, the official sideline technology provider and laptop of the NFL and the New England Patriots that provides players and coaches with the tools to succeed both on and off the field. Check out the new Surface Pro, designed to keep up with you as the most flexible, most powerful 2-in-1 laptop and tablet out there at surface.com. Benjamin emails us at podcast@patriots.com. I want to see May play for two reasons. One, primarily to start the clock on his learning process. And two,
I like that.
Brissett has clearly been under duress, but even when he has time, his skills don't look good.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that, but that's lesser a reason. I like the first reason a lot. Like, I feel like the longer you wait to play him, the longer you're going to have to wait for him to be really good, if he is really good.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just hard to be really good right away.
Yeah. But I would say the clock has started on him. I mean, not with game time necessarily or starting per se, but, you know, he's learning plenty right now. So, look, I'm with you. I can only say
I know you
so many different ways.
I know you're with me, Pop.
Week 4, I'm not, without David Andrews. Week 5 now, no, not yet. So, sorry, but whatever that means, I don't think that's going to, make that much of a difference. So, until we'll see in week 6 maybe.
And the drum beat is getting louder, wouldn't you say, on a week-to-week basis?
Oh, and that's expected to be. And as I said, after, I think, week 2, as the turnovers from Jacoby Brissett rise, then it becomes a harder and harder conversation to have, because it's easier when you say, well, Jacoby's not losing the games for us.
He's protecting the football.
He's protecting the football. He's giving us a chance. But when that stops, then all bets are off. And that's when I think you'll start to find the convergence of, all right, everyone agrees, now's the time, better or worse. I never think it's going to be perfect. I don't think there's ever going to be a game this season where, okay, now he'll be okay. It's going to be a little hairy no matter when he gets in this year, but I don't think it's going to be week 5.
Stealth Legends writes in, do you guys agree with Mayo when he says Jacoby is the best chance at winning a football game? Or do you think even though the offensive line is not good at all, we should let May try?
I guess. I mean,
I think that Jacoby Brissett gives them the best chance to win games right now. I think. I don't know that to be certain, but
because why, Paul? Because he can get him in and out of the huddle. Okay, and line him up.
I'm going to assume a rookie who's never played is going to at least have a struggle when he first plays. Now, it might take him 2 or 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, now he's got 100 plays under his belt. He sees something, and now he gives them a better chance than Brissett. But like right out of the chute, without ever having played, I'm going to guess a 9-year veteran is going to give a better chance than a rookie who's never played. But doesn't mean I don't want to play May, because I'm you guys just said that the drum beat's starting to get. It's
getting louder.
It's louder for me. It's been loud from the start. I don't really have a whole lot of interest in the Jacoby Brissett experience.
The TPX hotline 855-PATS-500 is the number. Claude in Somerset, you're next on the Patriots postgame show presented by DraftKings. Hello, Claude. Claude, are you there? No, Claude. We're going to switch to Chris in Florida, where I hope things are safe where you are in Florida. Chris, you're next on the Patriots postgame show. Hello.
Hey, guys. I appreciate you taking the call. And the last piece that you just read from another caller kind of touched on what I was calling about is, I think there's a fine balance between trying to protect Drake May, but then also seeing what you really have with the kid. I think one of the unique things about his game is, you don't necessarily need a perfect offensive line with him, right? He's a gamer, so he can extend plays, make plays. And I think when you're preparing as a defense for a quarterback like that, it makes it a little bit more challenging versus right now, what are you really preparing for with Jacoby? He's a pocket passer. He's not mobile, which makes the defense, it makes it a little bit easier to game plan. I think if you can take Drake, see what you have with him, and really start to, grow with the young cast that you have, I think that's your best bet, because at the end of the day, let's just say, God forbid, he's not the guy. You've just wasted an entire year, and then you've got to start over next year. And then what do you do?
Excellent call, Chris.
I mean,
topic of the week.
I don't know. Like, I don't want him doing that. Like, eventually, if Drake May has the ability to make all kinds of plays outside the pocket and play like Josh Allen and do that'd be great. I don't want him doing that in week 1 of his career. I want him learning how to play right first, quote unquote, the proper way, and going through his progressions and understanding. Then if he can build off of that and add, when plays like the way Brock Purdy did today several times off platform and running around and making some plays, then that works. But I need to know that he can do A, B, and C first. I know a lot of fans, because, and this is, we're all looking for it this way, right? They're 1-3 and they just, they're trying to salvage the season. I don't think it's going to get all that much different. If Drake May comes in and it works and he blows it out of the water, I don't think you're going to be all of a sudden a playoff pitcher, because I don't think you're a really good quarterback play away from being a playoff team. Yeah. But I would rather see him sort of learn and develop from the pocket and then build off of that and start making plays in other ways.
I just like to feel good about something when I'm putting him in there. Something. I'd like to feel good about something. And right now, all these calls and emails sound like they're coming up from a place of, they stink. Just put Drake in. I don't want to watch this anymore.
Put him in he's going to be harder to game plan for. I don't know. You sit back and wait for him to throw it to you is what I would do if I were a defense right now.
It's not going to make me feel better if we come out and we see a Bo Nix type. He threw for 63 yards. And
was that
60 yards
in a win?
Today. But he learned a lot today. I don't want to be selling that in the post game. He got his ass handed to him. He couldn't, we almost got broken in half 6 times. He was about to cry walking off the sideline, but great experience, I feel. And, I don't want to have to do that. They might be forced into it at some point anyway, so maybe the joke will be on me, but I just like to feel good about something. And at least after week 1, you kind of were fooling yourselves into feeling good about something. And right now, I don't really feel good about anything with the offense.
I think this harkens back to the point that you're trying to make, which I think is a very challenging one to get people to buy into, Mike, and that is patience. Yeah. It's hard to have patience when people see that this is not only a week-to-week league, but it's a results-oriented league. And they don't see much hope in the current situation. They see hope on the sideline, and they want to know why hope isn't playing.
Yeah, and I think it's an easy argument to make when it's kind of a nebulous situation and just play him. But when I say, well, do you necessarily want to play him next week against the Dolphins with Nick Leverett snapping the ball to him?
I do, but I understand that I'm selfish.
Yeah.
I
Do you think that that's best for his development, Paul?
Yeah, I think if he's ready to play, yes. I don't really care who the other guys are out there because I can't control that right now.
Okay.
Well, my roster is what it is. But if they think he's ready to play from a developmental standpoint, if he's getting, like Mike says, the 30%, is it a 70-30, is it 80-20?
Should we pull it back to 90-10?
If he's getting that amount of reps and that kind of stuff, then yeah, I want to see him play. But if he's not,
regardless of the center,
I don't he's never going to go in with a great situation.
Okay,
because I assume he's going to play at some point this year, and if not, week 1 next year. My roster's not going to look dramatically different next year. I'm sorry, the Washington Commanders stink. They have a terrible offensive line that was rated worse than yours at the start of the season.
And they're 3-1.
And their quarterback looks pretty good. To the callers, but I kind of push back against the callers that he's tougher to game plan against. Yeah, those guys are tougher to game plan against. He's right. The caller was right. Jaden Daniels moves around and gives the defense another thing to think about. Maybe that backs the pressure off a little bit, because you can't go hell-bent at the leather, for a guy who can move. So I think some of those things are relevant. I just would like to see it. I'm not telling you it needs to be, Matt, to your point. It doesn't need to be this week against Miami. It doesn't need to be, but if we get halfway, 3/4 of the way through, we haven't seen him, I think that's a lost opportunity. Well, he needs to play enough games that he gets some development, that you have an idea of what he is heading into 25.
I'll be right there with you at that point.
4 games in, and I think it's coming sooner rather than later. Back to the phone lines. William in Philadelphia, you're next on the Patriots Postgame Show presented by DraftKings. Hi, William.
Hi, how you doing?
Great. How are you, sir?
How are you, William? Are you all right?
Hey, oh my God!
I know you're going to get yourself worked
No.
up here. I don't want to push you off the ledge, but I know your calls, man.
I'm about to go in my bag on this. Oh, I'm about to go in my bag with this one, dude. Like, this
Let's
is
go.
crazy.
Let's go.
Okay. So, Paul, who was it? Paul or either you do said, okay, your roster is what it is, basically. Your roster's been like this for 5 damn years.
Yep.
Some of that is on Bill, and I think this first year is Elliott Wolf.
Yep.
Why? I think you should be calling him out, because I said something about him about a while ago, basically like, why ain't y'all talking about him? Because this is why your offensive line is in shambles. Did you see how the defensive lineman for the Flair has pushed your line back into your quarterback? Like, damn. Like, seriously?
Yeah, I do think Bill gets a lot of that static, and I think he is responsible for a lot of this. Bill, yeah. I think that they did not do a good job of putting the offensive line together the last year or so, and I don't think Elliott Wolf did anything to improve it in the offseason.
No, and frustrating with Wally Wolf saying we need to weaponize the offense. We did not weaponize the offense.
Can I just touch on something? Like you keep like sort of indicating, Matt, that it's coming. It's with Drake May. It's like, what are you basing that on?
Resignation and inevitability.
So why, like, the National Report's continuing to say that he's a ways away?
Maybe to try to ramp down on the fans' expectations.
Where do you think the National Reports come from?
From the club.
That's my worry. That's my fear.
Yeah.
Like, we can sit here and say, well, momentum's building.
I didn't say
the drums are. I'm with you.
I didn't say tomorrow. I don't think it's coming tomorrow.
I spent the whole day on Wednesday on my show, Mike, saying I just got a feeling that there's some momentum building inside the building. Then 3 days later,
tap the brakes on that.
3 days later, there's a national report that says no, he's a ways off, and I'm like, I guess I was wrong.
Right.
Like I felt like it was momentum building, and it was sooner rather than later. I thought there was a chance by at least by October. And now it doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
Right,
I'm kind of depressed about that.
I hate to sound like the broken record here, but I really do put credence into what Mike said earlier in the show. If they were even contemplating playing against Miami, if David Andrews isn't going to play, I just don't think, I think those reports are coming, Paul, because people in the building think he's not ready yet.
If that's the case,
you add
I'm
up
okay
not
with
ready with no David Andrews, then they need more time.
I
to see
don't want him to
get
play if they think he's not ready. That's a great point, Matt.
Yeah.
Like, if they think he's not ready, Andrews or no, I don't want him out there if he can't protect himself. And I'm not talking about physically. He's not ready to play. He can't protect himself.
Yeah. But at the same time, I would say maybe a good chance, and we have no idea. I'm speculating here, but if David Andrews is done for the year, like that should not preclude Matt Jones from playing.
It's a different story.
That's my point.
I just called him Mac Jones.
I heard you.
Right.
I'm sorry, guys. They've broken me.
I'm sorry, Drake.
They have 13 games left, and let's Matt Morrell. Let's go back inside the postgame locker room in Santa Clara and listen in on Jacoby Brissett's postgame presser, please.
Jacoby, how would you sum up this offensive performance today?
Tough. We can't spot them 2 turnovers like that. We can't put our defense in a bad position like that. I think that's where it really starts, and then it comes back down to the fundamental and the execution. We really beat ourselves. We get a drive going and then something happens. We aren't, honestly, we're not good enough to be able to play against ourselves in the defense. So, we got to just go back to practice, go back to the drawing boards, and keep getting better from it.
And a quick follow-up on one of those turnovers, as you replay the interception in your back in your mind. What did you see?
We had an in-cut coming open behind the backers. Hats off to Fred, made a great play, but I think I put a bad ball out there, but just a better throw would have picked up the first down.
Dan Roach. Jacoby, as the game goes on, you get behind 20-0. What goes through your mind, and how difficult is it to drop back knowing that they're charging at you, knowing that you're going to throw? What's the process like for you, and how tough is it to try to find guys open that quickly, time and time again, as you're about to get hit?
Yeah, I think that's just part of the job. Like I said, it's like I said, it's hard to beat to play against yourself and the defense at the same time. I think we put ourselves in a terrible situation with the turnovers and things like that, and honestly just plays, not even only the turnovers, but plays that other plays in the drives that beat us. And then it's just, going out there and trying to execute one play at a time. At halftime, it's just like, man, don't look up at the scoreboard. Just keep going. Special teams made a great play. We go down and we score, and then we're back in this game. So that's just what it's about. We got a long season ahead, so we're continuing to build off of those things and keep getting better.
Coach Mayo told us that you broke down the team in the locker room after the game. So what was your message to the group?
That it's a long season. To be hopeful, to be excited about the when we started this climb, we never thought it was going to be just, you're on the escalator, you're just going up automatically. We knew we were going to be bumps in the road. We were going to get knocked down and be tired and be hurt. And, that doesn't stop the climb. It just puts a little adversity in the climb. I told the guys, that's what we're built for in this room. We got the men in this room that, you go back and look at everybody's story, not everybody, but a lot of players' stories, that how they got into that room. It wasn't easy to get there. And to reflect on that and to understand, this is a long season. As much as we can hold our head, nobody's gonna come and save us to pick our head up for us. We got to do it ourselves. And that's the best part about being in this league and being early in the season, because you have not a lot of time, but you got time to pick yourself up, and lick your wounds and go back to work, because you got another week next week.
Jacoby, you guys had 4th and 5 late in the game, and you made that long throw to Jalen. What, thought process there? What took you to making that attempt, and did you think you guys hit it? It looked like
it looked like we caught it, but I guess not. But and it's just giving our guys a chance. I'm trying to give us best chance to make plays. They were obviously starting to sit on us a lot as far as not backing up a little bit, and and Polk had made a couple good catches down the field. So just trying to go up and give them another chance.
Dan Roach. Jacoby, with everything you just said, so when you get in Monday and then especially starting on Wednesday, how fixable is it, and what do you think in your mind as a group, as a unit, needs to be done to fix this, to get where you guys can come out and play like you need to play to beat Miami?
First, it's going to start with Monday and watching the film and being critical of ourselves. And me as the quarterback and the leader of this team. Starting with me. Being critical of the key plays in the game, not key plays, all the plays, honestly. And how can we get better? In those times where we do have things going, how can we keep that momentum? How can we pick ourselves up when we go down? So, having those vulnerable conversations to where it's like, man, Jacoby, I need you better here, or case in point, whoever it is, if we need better or here. So, and I think that's what the enjoyment of this process is. It's just I understand the product is not what we wanted right now, but we're still in the process of figuring out how to make the best product. And that's why we're in this room, because we can do that.
Jacoby, you mentioned it's still early in the season, but just to be frank, you're taking a beating, man. How much longer can you take this? How many more of these hits, and can you make it through 17 games like this?
Just keep getting up. That's all I can do. That's all I'm going to keep doing.
Well, he's a pro. Can't say enough about that, right?
No, man, it's not easy. I can't imagine what it's like, going in and taking that kind of punishment and knowing it's coming. And each week you've got to even it's not even well, I got my same guys that, we're starting to grow. It's like each week you have a new, oh God, now I got this guy playing left tackle for me, and, City's back in at left guard. So every week has been tough on him. Credit, for him to keep getting up. That's what.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear it, but that's one of the reasons why he was the choice.
He was selected for this.
Yeah.
Because, not because they knew he would take a beating.
I am
it's
tribute.
Because
I volunteer as tribute.
They knew he would be professional.
Yeah.
And that's what they wanted first and foremost.
Yeah.
And that he is. The TPX hotline is 855-PATS-500. Colin in Seattle. You've been waiting patiently. You're next on the Patriots Postgame Show. Hi, Colin.
Thank you guys for keeping me on. I totally agree with being patient on May and also wanting to see the young guys play. But on that note, I do want to see Caden Wallace get an opportunity at right tackle. I know he left banged up today. So kind of a two-part question. One on the line is, do you guys think they're going to have an opportunity to put Wallace in at right tackle and kick on Wanu back to his natural spot? And then secondly, this is a total tangent, but before the game, Gerard was talking about trying to get the quick, short pass game kind of up to snuff, and yet DeMario Douglas barely had any targets in the first half. Do you guys have any commentary on that, or what's your opinion?
Thanks for the call, Colin. I will admit, Paul, I think I said this to you when I saw it on the Twitter machine. I was taken a little bit by surprise at how candid Gerard was in speaking with our friend Scott Zolak on the radio pregame show, telling him what they were hoping to do. It didn't materialize. It didn't seem like it materialized to me. So it was less about what he was saying they were trying to do than he was actually saying it. But if you then take into account what he said, it didn't look like they were trying to. Maybe it was, again, the situation of the game, but I didn't see a real effort to try to get that going. Did you?
I thought all the throws basically were short, but when you're getting killed, like, it's really kind of hard to, like, pick out the guy that, you know, you have. I mean, it was like Hunter Henry on 3rd and 4 for like 5, like screen pass to Stevenson for -2. Like, they threw the ball on 4th down downfield to Jalen Polk, and they had a back shoulder to Polk.
That was one of their better offensive plays of the game.
Beyond that, I mean, I didn't see anything going downfield. I thought everything was short, and he just didn't have any time. And when he did have time, I thought he didn't see some open guys. But I didn't think they were pushing it downfield by any means. Did you guys?
No. I mean, I just remember, I think that was one nice 3rd down pass to Pop. He hit him right on the sideline right there as he stayed in bounds, I think. But
Yeah.
You know, a couple nice plays, but
first drive of the game was a short throw to Polk, to Douglas, not Polk. Douglas. Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
He did a nice job of toe tapping on the sideline.
Yeah, here it is right here. Nice job, guys.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't even say that that's intermediate. I think
This
when
is short.
I
This
think
is
when I
7
hear him say
yards.
short passes, I'm thinking more bubble screen and things like that.
Oh no, I'm saying
almost
like
runs.
I'm saying like inside 15 yards, short stuff. Like, that's a little sprint out, balls out of his hands, boom. Like, that's a good play. That was a good play design.
Professional play.
And I think that what they have in general is a decent script at the beginning of these games. I would say certainly in Cincinnati. I would say to a lesser extent in Seattle. And then today, like, the first 2 times they had the ball, they moved it today. Like, I mean, it's painful to watch. I mean, it's 3 and 4 yards at a time. But they were able to get into San Francisco territory, right? The first 2 times they had the ball?
Yes.
Or was it maybe 2 out of the first 3 times they had the ball? It might have been.
Yeah, they fumbled.
Well, I don't think
they fumbled on.
They got into it on their 1st and their 4th and their 5th.
Okay, so I missed the
fumble and the interception were the 2 they did not.
But so again, the fumble's one play, and the interception's like on the 3rd play maybe. So you're on your script still, like, because they don't possess the ball long enough.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the possessions are. I mean, these are just the ones that weren't 3 and outs.
Right.
I mean, nine plays, 29 yards.
That's-
11
that's
plays,
just pain.
45 yards. 5 plays, 27 yards. 8 plays, 19 yards.
It's a very similar play Baltimore just ran, only instead of the receiver, it's the back underneath. It's just a quick sprint out, balls out quick, and they don't have any, you know, like that's just a short throw. It's like a handoff.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what you got to do, because I don't think they have the wherewithal to drop back on 3rd and 7 and sit in the pocket and find a crosser or an over route or something down the seam. It's not going to hold up. It's
Correct.
just not going to hold up.
Chris from Miami, you'll be our final phone caller tonight on the Patriots postgame show. You join us next. Chris, hello. How are you tonight? Chris from Miami, are you there? No Chris from Miami. Okay. We're at that point in the time where we get some final thoughts. A regression this week? What do we have to give a Patriot fan a silver lining tonight, Michael? And something to hang their hat on to look forward to as they get ready this week to come back home to take on a team in the division with the Miami Dolphins.
I mean, maybe a winnable game, I guess, next week, depending on how Miami looks and who the quarterback is and, you know, in the division. So, look, I'm not going to try to tell you I feel confident. I mean, especially with the injuries that were piled on top of everything tonight. But being able to come home, play a divisional opponent, you know, maybe, I mean, no matter when you beat Miami, it would always feel good. So I do think that there's a small opportunity, but they got a long way to go in 6 days to try to get back into a position where I believe it's possible. Because if David Andrews is out, if Kyle Duggar is out, if, you know, you're on Trey Jacobs again and you don't even really have a 3rd tackle now, it keeps getting more and more complicated for them. So it's not going to be easy, but maybe a winnable game next week.
Yeah, I agree with Mike. You know, you're going to be at home against a 3rd string quarterback, 4th string quarterback. That's a game, with an offense that has been even less productive than yours. That's a game that you need to win.
Does that energize the room?
I don't know. I don't know what they're going to be feeling like 6 hours from now when they.
Well, I'm not talking
get home
about.
from
I'm
that.
not talking about tomorrow morning when they're dragging ass getting in here. I'm talking about when they come back. Later in the day on Monday
I
or
don't know.
back on Wednesday.
I would just say, in general terms, in the NFL in Week 5, if you have energy problems, you have bigger problems than talent.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to know the answer to this, but if this Patriots team were to face Tim Boyle next week and to lose to them, that post-game show would be something else to watch. Paul.
Snoop. You got Snoop Huntley.
So
and can I just say when we come on Wednesday or on Tuesday for Patriots Unfiltered, we'll have had a chance to watch the game tomorrow. If the Dolphins go out with Snoop Huntley and put say 25 on the board, then I'll have a different impression.
Yeah.
I'll right now, it's the only offense in the league that's averaging fewer points than you are, and they're playing with their fourth quarterback.
And there
No
it is.
Tua, no Thompson, no Boyle, worst quarterback in the history of the NFL. And now it's down to Huntley, who they just signed last week from the practice squad.
So they could have played Boyle, but they've chosen to play Hot Rod.
I don't know what Boyle's situation is, but
Was he hurt?
But they're playing Huntley. Is it Tyrone?
Tyrone
Huntley?
Again?
Snoop.
Tyler.
Just call it Tyler Huntley.
Did he do time in Baltimore with the Ravens?
Yes, he's been Lamar Jackson's backup for a while.
Right. Yeah, he can
He's
get
not
you through.
good.
He was in prison.
But he can get you through a game.
He ain't going to win it.
Wow.
Ask Baltimore why they missed the playoffs every year that Lamar Jackson got hurt.
Is it possible?
Because they just needed him to win one game and he couldn't.
Yeah, but he might not lose it. Is that possible?
I don't think so. I think he'll lose it. I think he lost a lot of games to Baltimore.
Well, we've come to the end of our show. Patriots losers out in Santa Clara tonight by the score of 30-13. They dropped to 1-3 after 4 games on the year. Next up for the New England Patriots is a chance to get back at it and get right at home against the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins, Patriot fans will be interested to know, play tomorrow night. That's a home game for Miami, isn't it?
Yep.
Against the great Will Levis and the 0-3 Tennessee Titans. There'll be a lot of interest on that game from the New England area. That'll wrap things up from here inside Gillette Stadium. For Chris Judge, for Matt LePan, for Matt Morrell, for Mike Dussault, and Paul Perillo, I'm Matt Smith. Patriots lose in Santa Clara tonight to the 49ers, 30-13. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.